We say good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome, and thank you so very much for being here. As you know, I'm Kim Serafini, the creator, the founder of Positive Prime Technology, and it is indeed my great honor. It's always a privilege and very much a pleasure. I actually really look forward to these little gatherings. Do you know, I used to be scared. I used to actually be really self-conscious. I am actually, if you go and do all of those Myers-Briggs or other personality types, definitely introverted, even though people don't think so. So what I can tell you is that Positive Prime has fundamentally improved, changed me. It's helped me to grow. It's helped me to really evolve. It's helped me to become a lot more comfortable and courageous, and that's just it's a real blessing. And that is actually what I think I'm most excited for everybody who comes on this journey with us. There are so many sessions, aren't there? So many sessions. And here for this particular little group gathering, I'm here to guide you on what sessions might be most useful for you. Because everybody knows, don't they, that when you're invited by somebody else and you click on somebody else's referral code and you actually are introduced to Positive Prime, both you, the person who's referring, and the referral will both receive 120 credits to get started. And our standard sessions in our shop are indeed 120 credits. In 2021, you will notice that we will start to migrate towards a new business model, which means that everybody on the planet can come in and they can do so just as they do right now for free. And then at the end of the first month, we will send a notification that says, in order for you to continue earning credits by viewing and increasing the internal currency that we have so that you can actually continue to acquire new sessions, you'll have to be at a very minimum a premium subscriber. And so everybody will have to upgrade their account if they want to actually continue to earn credits beyond the first 30 days. So a lot of people ask me, how many sessions can you watch per day? And the truth is that you earn up to 15 credits a day by earning up to 5 credits per session. If you actually watch the session for longer than 3 minutes and all the way to the end, you'll earn your 5 credits. One of the reasons, of course, why we didn't really want to reward every single viewing in a maximum of 3 days, A, because we all have lives and we should keep things in balance, B, because some of us have addictive personalities, even if we're addicted to success, or we're addicted to being, as Gabby Bernstein called it, being a spirit junkie. Some of us are addicted to going to seminars or going to, additional workshops. I was a bit like that as a therapist, as an active therapist in the spa industry. Every new modality that was launched, I went off and learned about. I was just like addicted to going on these courses. And that is actually not such a bad thing, so long as you keep everything in balance. So one of the things that I have started doing is I have actually started watching a new session for me. I watched it ages ago, and it's actually Sherry Garber's. This is Dr. Sherry. Let me actually just go and find for you the actual session, and it's about conscious recovery. And it's not that I am making light, please don't misunderstand me, about very serious addictions and substance abuse. I am not. And I am not an alcoholic, and I am not somebody who can't control all sorts of every type of substance. However, I often think that there is wisdom for me to learn from the field that actually addresses, from a psychotherapy or a psychology or a psychiatry point of view, those people who really do have addictive ways of being. And there's a lot of really great positive psychology or neuroscience research around now that's emerging, for example, on sugar addiction and what it actually physically does to the brain, and how the researchers who have originally looked at nicotine addiction and the receptors in the brain actually now understand that those receptors are also the receptors that are engaged and responsible for alcohol addiction and also for sugar addiction, which is a fascinating thing to understand. So, you know, there's so much sugar in every single thing that we might pick up that's processed from the grocery store. And so I would argue that a lot of us might be very unconsciously addicted to sugar, and that might not be in our best interests. And so for me to actually just very gently shift some of my habits, I'm kind of happy to actually watch the Positive Prime session that's by Sherry. Now, that gets you kicked off. I'm actually just going to go and find it in the shop for you just so that you can see. And then if there's anything else, here, let me show you how I do this. That's actually much nicer, isn't it? Yes. Alrighty, so we are here at Google Chrome. Normally you're in the dashboard area, and I want to actually go and have a look at what sessions might be new for me, because I've got like, I don't know, nearly 200 sessions. I could watch a different session every single day, which is actually not such a bad idea. But let's just go and have a look. I know her name is spelled S-H-E-R-R-Y. And you can see here it's called Conscious Recovery, and it's Dr. Sherry Garber. She actually has a very successful magazine based in Southern California. I've met Sherry a couple of times. She's a gorgeous soul. She really knows what she's talking about. She's very well respected. She's very much admired. She has lots of Hollywood clients. So for anybody who wants to move an unhelpful or a disempowering habit, not necessarily an addiction in terms of the clinical definition, then maybe this will actually help you in your journey. Alrighty. So who else has got a question out there? Oh, I see Dr. Diane Shelton is here, but she has her camera off. That's lovely. Thanks for sending that little message. I can see Patty's here. Tracy, hello Lucy, how are you? I presume, hello Sarah. Hi William, how are you? You're oh, look at that. A wonderful man amongst, what do they call them? Thorns amongst roses. There's a lot of women on this call. William, you may have noticed that there are indeed some sessions that are actually very specifically geared to women. And unless, of course, you're trying to attract the soulmate of your life and you're not yet in a committed relationship, and indeed you're looking for a woman, then that might be a good thing. But if you're a man and you want to see more male representation, maybe you want to actually steer towards the sessions that are specifically being made by men. For men. You can see I was actually watching here Find and Live Your Soul's Calling by Shivani Gonel. Let me go here and show you. It's very much directed towards women. She's actually an amazing coach. She's devoted to coaching women. So I do believe that the content is perfect for anybody who wants to actually really dig a lot deeper into their soul's calling, their reason for being on this planet, their life's purpose. I don't want any men who are put off by the fact that this is really particularly directed towards women to not watch it. So William, I'm going to say it's worth it for you too. And some of the sessions maybe not worth it to you too, but that one is. Who here actually feels like they're living their soul's calling? I have a feeling that that's quite a lot of you, because that's the kind of community we are, and that's who shows up here. If you're a little like me and you absolutely know for a fact that you're living your soul's calling, and I indeed do, it doesn't mean that you don't have obstacles that you face and challenges that you need to address. And some days when you think, oh, wow, I kind of wish that I didn't really know what my soul's calling was so I could give myself a break. Who feels like that as well? right? Yeah, like, this is just too hard. Did I know that I had to actually have as much momentum to get this rocket ship, up into outer space? It does actually require an enormous amount of energy, doesn't it? Spiritual energy, physical energy. It does. Alrighty, so who else has a question? Jackie, you say that you're there. You're living your soul's calling, and some days you kind of wish you didn't commit to it. Here's how you know it's your soul's calling.
How?
It won't let you go. And so no matter how much you go through these, I don't want even to call them dark nights of the soul, because I don't even have actual dark nights anymore. I have dark milliseconds, not even a minute, and then I can really snap myself out and move myself on. And I think that's because I have a lot of positive prime sessions running through my mind all the time. But the reality is that it's like any training. In order for you, and we all know this, elite athletes who are part of professional teams, they've practiced the play or the movements so much that they have muscle memory. So in the moment of intense scrutiny, where the crowd is screaming profanities, they actually rely on the moves they've made a million times. And that is actually, I think, what is necessary for those of us who master the art of living. And I can actually really tell you that that's how it feels like for me now. I have so much goodness that I've been consuming, that has been flashing before my eyes by watching so many, positive prime sessions. Quite frankly, the truth is that I actually sometimes feel like there's more grace and ease, and there is speed. And I've got this muscle memory around a very natural and organic positivity, a very natural and organic enthusiasm and effervescence. It's not contrived when I'm feeling optimistic and I'm summoning up my courage or my confidence. It's actually no longer me faking it until I make it, or pretending that I am, such that there is this perception or this energy, and I'm really trying hard to raise my frequency so that I'm actually matching the future desires, even though I'm not there yet. I'm kind of there, but I really want to say that it's been enjoyable, but it has actually required discipline. I have actually watched lots of positive prime sessions over a long period of time, and I've really gone to the trouble, even though for me it's not trouble, of personalizing those sessions. I hope that all of you have thought about adding some new photographs into your private collection. I've just done that. I've gathered all my favorite photographs from the holiday season, and I've actually already uploaded them, and I'm seeing them in my new sessions, and I'm just reminding myself how incredibly fortunate I am, how lucky I am, how wonderful our family is, even when families are crazy. Or even when families are going through some strife, and even when we're driving each other crazy, or mad in incredible shutdowns. I actually also uploaded a photograph of one of my favourite cousins, who's an intensive care nurse in London, and her husband and her son were actually tested positive for COVID. So they were diagnosed, and they actually had to all quarantine in the house, and she had to as well. So, I actually put a photograph of her into my private collection just so that I would see her flashing by, and every time I saw her face, I would send her some extra love and kindness and tender care and best wishes. And I'd kind of say, angels, please help with the healing in that home. And so that's what I do sometimes, as I'm actually using positive prime as a tool that engages me in some of the spiritual practices or some of the goal setting practices that I have. Susie, great question. How do you know which photo to put in what session? Great question. There's a session called Romance and Intimacy. I'm probably not going to put my business goals in that session, right? That's not exactly going to help the connection between me and Cameron. If I had children or grandchildren, probably not appropriate as well. I would say though, there is 2 great sessions as really the leader of Positive Prime with a team of people that I work with. I watch Winning Teams, and I actually have photographs of the people in my team in that session. And that reminds me that I have to actually continue to nurture that team and express my appreciation to that team. And I have to help guide that team member. And I originally created Winning Teams. I'll show you that session, because I was quite successful in both a direct sales company and a multi-level marketing company. And I actually really wanted everybody in my team to thrive. So I actually created, based on a lot of social science, a lot of team building science, a lot of research studies, something called Winning Teams. And it's really the mindset around what does it require for you to actually develop a high performance team, nurture that team, and help everybody to actually be their very best in that team, right? Now, if you are a member of a team, and quite frankly, even if we believe that we're leaders of teams, we're still actually members as well. So I think that I would mix up Winning Teams and that particular session with one of the other leadership sessions, right? So leadership sessions. There's actually a great session by a leadership coach. She's an executive coach. Her name's Dr. Laura Scott. She's based in Florida. Actually, I don't think she does have a PhD, but I always see her as a real expert. And so I would say that the 2 sessions that Laura Scott has actually contributed to the collection are really, really fantastic. And Holly Molesky is a consultant that I'm friends with, and she lives in Southern California, and she actually does do some executive coaching of some C-suite people during a transition phase, particularly for those people who are engaged to a particular executive recruitment firm. So people who are going through these transitions, they've usually being given an outplacement opportunity. And Holly Molesky is the kind of woman who then goes in and actually helps these C-suite people to prepare for their next role. So it's another great session, leadership influence. And Holly, you know, some of the people who are actually contributing sessions to Positive Prime, they're not necessarily famous or famous yet. One of the roles that I think that I have and that I would ask for all of you to participate in is that you actually really help us by going out and sharing Positive Prime, because the larger the audience is, the more likely we are to attract more authors who actually really want to contribute their magnificent wisdom inside a Positive Prime session, so that we can all then take advantage of that. Alrighty. Okay. So, who else has a question? Other than, is everybody feeling fired up for 2021? Is that a no, not really? You're a bit worried. Times are interesting, right? Times are interesting. I was talking to someone the other day about the news around Zoom. We're all on Zoom, and how in 2020, Zoom was one of those companies that experienced a real breakout. They actually went through a breakdown. Don't you remember? Everybody was completely shocked, including me, when one of my webinars was hacked and we saw what effectively looked like porn on the screen, and my controls were completely overtaken. And it totally freaked me out, I must admit. It definitely took me by surprise. But what happened, of course, was that Zoom, in that desperate time where that was actually happening quite a lot to Zoom, they had to actually create all of these extra controls, like allowing people and having waiting rooms and so forth. The valuation of that company is so beyond most people's wildest expectation for how dramatically things could change in terms of the fortunes and the profitability of one company in the most dire of circumstances. And the reason why I really want you to actually kind of reflect on that over the next week or two is we all have an equal opportunity right now for 2021 to be so much better than we ever could have imagined in our wildest dreams, right? It meant, if we're using that analogy or the story about Zoom, they had already seen that there was an opportunity for Zoom. People like me had already been using Zoom for a long time, not the everyday person down the road who'd never even heard of it. They were already preparing, they were already prepared, they were already in the market. So what I want to encourage you to do is stay committed to your path, be really productive, efficient, and effective, because you will find you're at a tipping point and you won't even know that it was your tipping point until after it's tipped. Okay, that's actually the truth for Zoom. Zoom had no idea that all of a sudden they'd be serving hundreds of millions of individuals. No idea. They couldn't have seen COVID coming. They couldn't have seen the radical change to social fabric. They were prepared, though, to capture a little bit of the opportunity in this particular realm. So think about who you are and think about what it is that you really do need to be doing to continue to make sure that you are prepared for any opportunity that arises for you in perfect divine timing. Does that make sense? Okay. All righty. Okay, so question. Those people who are really having a tough time, okay, so I actually, Sarah's actually saying to me, I don't know how to upload pics. I'll show you that if you like. So I think the best sessions for people who are really having a tough time, and I want the caveat here to be, and I really want the warning to also be, positive prime can only do so much, and it requires personal responsibility. It actually requires conscious choice. It demands that somebody actually chooses for themselves that they actually want to engage in focusing and concentrating on the content within a positive prime session and allowing it in. So we've all been at these stages in our lives where people have given us awesome recommendations or suggestions or advice, or our mentors have really tried to move us on, or therapists have really tried to give us, you know, this nugget or this gem that we could, you know, hang our hats on or use as an anchor. And the reality is that every single person is going to come to a point where they can't even get themselves to do this. Oftentimes, if we're in that place, we actually don't even recognize we're in that place. And unless we're living with people who are supportive enough, nurturing and kind enough to gently guide us, we don't even know that we need to seek help, right? So I actually want to say, first and foremost, if you believe that it would be useful for you to ring one of the free helplines, they're available in every country around the planet where you can actually talk to somebody when you're in crisis, then you should do that. Sometimes people won't do that because they don't like what they hear. They want somebody else to solve their problems because they don't actually understand that it's their problem to solve, because they're not ready to be at the point where the responsibility is theirs and no one else's, right? So I think that as a community, we offer something very powerful, but it's not a panacea, it's not the be all and end all, and it does not replace ever in any circumstances professional help. It also can't be the crisis line that we all have access to. And I usually I think I'm quite driven when I'm working with my clients to say the better that you develop your support network and the better that you support others, the more likely that when you need support from others, others are actually going to be there, right? People who are supported have usually been supportive. And sometimes that I've noticed that people who are really struggling, and in fact, you can read Dr. Stephen G. Post's book about really the science around helping and volunteering. A lot of people who are struggling or in crisis, one of the best courses of action is for them to go and actually be in a helping role in some kind of context whereby they are outside of themselves contributing to others. It's a little bit more difficult when we are in isolation, no doubt about it, right? But there are ways for all of us to go beyond ourselves and help, particularly in good times and particularly when we're going through moments where we're really strong. And what I've often found is that those people who have contributed beyond themselves find that when the chips are down, others are always there for them. And that's kind of the truth.
Wow.
Right? So maybe 2021 is when you think about how could you go out there and seek more support? How could you go out there and offer more support? How could you go out there and ask for more support in really healthy ways? It's very deep, isn't it? It's very heavy. Other than that, let me just quickly show you, shall I, how we upload a photograph. And then I'll come back and read the questions. Thank you so much for somebody drawing to my attention that there are lots of chats. I'm actually feeling like whilst I go and do this, someone can definitely come on out. Someone can definitely come on out and ask a question if I haven't addressed it. Alrighty, so let's just say, I love this. Do you know, everybody would know here that we've just run 7 magnificent days with Patty Kummer and Kim Serafini, where we've really been addressing Napoleon Hill's masterpiece, the science, was Dee Warsaw's The Science of Getting Rich, Think and Grow Rich. Anyway, so then we created a whole heap of Think and Grow Rich mini sessions, and one of them is desire, right? So in this particular session, what I would do is I would choose the session here in my actual drop-down menu. I then click on personal photos and editing. And because I've got lots of personal photographs in my private collection, it takes a long time for me to load. So here in my personal collection, you can actually see that I've uploaded a couple of photographs of myself and Cameron. And if any of you are on social media, I know Audrey, you actually commented on these beautiful spider lilies. One of the reasons why I upload photographs of my own garden is because the way that the science works is that we are much more engaged energetically in the content, and we can actually have the content really be absorbed by our superconscious and our subconscious when we recognize that the content is mixed with something that's familiar for us and something that is enjoyable for us and something that literally uplifts us, something that helps us to feel like we are integrated into the content, and then the content becomes integrated within us. So it's this beautiful, as if it's this infinity swirl where there's a session with standard content, and then the more you actually insert something that's very personal and meaningful to you, the more you'll have that content actually playing as if it was already real for you. And so in my entire collection, I've got photographs of some of my favorite trees in our property. I've got photographs of some of my favorite things. They're like heirlooms, and they remind me that I've been gifted these things and I really am blessed. And it reminds me that I love beautiful craftsmanship and so forth. So what actually happens here is that if you want to upload a new image, and I actually just uploaded a whole heap. Is Michelle with us today? Do you know, she actually posted some beautiful things on a Facebook group that we have that's a collection of people, I think actually only our professional leaders. anyway, so she posted these things. They were like great little motivational pieces, and they were really parts of my teaching. And so I started to upload those. So what happens is you go down here and you click add a new image. When you click add a new image, you literally just go and choose a file from your computer. This actually, I'll do this again because this is actually a great one. I went into Google Images and I actually looked for illusions and images that relate to, in particular, perspective. One of the things that I am demanding of myself or requiring of myself and helping myself to stay cognizant about is actually this point around I often need to look at something from a completely different direction and I need to soften my gaze. Sometimes I actually need to be a lot more gentle to the situation so that I can actually deal with it with a lot more elegance. And if I have a photograph like this, and I'm sure all of you have seen it, but you know what I might try and do? I might actually try and get you the big photograph of this. What happens when I see that in positive prime as it flashes past me is it literally triggers and stimulates so that my other than consciousness is much more likely to be primed to see things from other people's points of view as I go throughout my day. And it's a very individual lesson for me, Kim Serafini. It might not be appropriate for any of you, but it is for me. And so what actually happens is I upload that photograph and then I go and put a little tick in it and then I save, right? So is that helpful? I know that this call is supposed to be only 30 minutes, only 30 minutes. So I really don't want to go if somebody really has something really important that they would like me to address. Let me go back to screen sharing. Here we go. Look at that. So has everybody seen this image? Have you all seen this image? It's a great image. What are you all seeing there? Tell me what you actually see.
A young girl.
Yeah, beautiful. That's true. What's also true?
There's a young old woman there too.
There is an old woman there too. That's absolutely true. This is a classic image. I came across it maybe 20 years ago. And only the other day I was remembering it and I was making a point to somebody. And then I thought, you know what? I'm actually going to go and find that image on Google Images and I'm going to upload it into my personal private collection. And I'm going to see that regularly. And it's going to remind me that sometimes we look at exactly the same things and we see something completely different, right?
Huge, yeah.
I then actually made a post on Facebook on my private page about the fact that over the past 20 months, I have had 6 cardiac arrests and now I have a pacemaker, and I put a photograph of the x-ray of my pacemaker. And what I actually, what occurred to me in a meditation over the holiday period as we were leading into the excitement of the new year was that I was really excited for the new year. And then I had this like, do you know, I was really excited for the new year last year as well. I'm always excited for the new year. I'm always excited about what's coming. And I thought to myself, if I'd have known that in 2020, my heart would have stopped for 21 seconds and then I would have had all sorts of other complications in all sorts of other organs and systems in my body, and I was going to end up with a pacemaker, not sure I would have been that excited last New Year's Eve, right? And I was like, isn't it interesting how we actually approach life? And even though I went through that in 2020, I'm still excited about 2021 because that's who I am. I am excited. And so what happens is the circumstances, the situation, and the people that show up in my life manifest in such a way that there's always something for me to be excited about, right? And then, of course, I was like, well, you know, there are two ways for me to actually process what happened to me. Either I've been such an evil person and done so much wrong, and there's been so much harm caused by me that it was karma and I had to go through 6 cardiac arrests because there was a price for me to pay. Or because I was the woman who wrote the best-selling book, I Am Grateful for Life, and I've been so grateful, like so outrageously over the top, intensely, unbelievably grateful, like really, for so long, maybe my angels are rewarding me with allowing me to come back to life 6 times, because in fact, there is no evil, there's only good. And in fact, I have really done no harm. I've just made mistakes like every other human being. And I have repented and I have asked for forgiveness, and I have done a lot of forgiveness for myself. And actually, I've been priming myself to come back alive as a miracle for years. And so for me, 2021 is about this opportunity that we all have the chance to spin any story, any angle. Like, do you know, nearly 30 years ago, I worked in a public relations agency, an actual, consulting firm that did media relations. And all day, every day, we had these industrial clients that wanted us to spin a story and come up with an angle that was interesting. And sometimes it was just like, I don't know, we were doing something for electrical cables. And I was like, how on earth do you come up with an angle that's exciting about electrical cables, right? Anyway, my point is that really, we get to choose how we tell our own stories to ourselves. And that's the most important person you're actually telling the story to. So for those of you who have stories that you're telling yourself about the past that is not empowering and not uplifting and not fulfilling and not rewarding, one of the things that I would really ask that you do is you give yourself the greatest gift in 2021 and you reconstruct the story such that it serves you and others. It remains honest and true. The facts are still true in either one of those cases, right? But I get to believe what it is that I need to believe, want to believe, and should believe, so that it actually allows me to be the very best person that I can be going forward. And the past does not equal the future. And I get to actually consciously decide in this moment and in every moment, what does my role look like in what I'm creating for myself for the future? And at the end of the day, I'm accountable and responsible for that. And sometimes that's really heavy because actually you want other people to be responsible for your happiness. And I'm no different sometimes. But when that's the case, I'll go and watch Calm Down, Relax and Enjoy, because that's a great session that gets me to get off my high horse. Just calm down, Kim, relax and enjoy life. Stop taking things so seriously. How about a little more playfulness and lightheartedness? So I'll go and watch Loving Life as well. I'll go and watch a couple of different sessions that are completely beyond what's normal for me. So I'll watch something like Joe Vitale's The Greatest Attraction, I think it's called. I should actually go and have a real look. But one of the ones that I do want to bring your attention to before we leave, and I said it was going to be only half an hour, so please do leave if you would like to, or do stay if I have not answered your question. We have an amazing professional program, right? So people can come and do a certification so that they become masters in positive priming, the science related to positive priming from positive psychology, neuroscience, and change management perspectives. Anyway, so one of the ladies who's actually been in our certification program as a professional leader, she's incredible, gorgeous, wonderful, but wow, she really walks her talk. And that I admire and respect more than anything. People who are authentic and real, and it's true what they actually claim. She has devoted herself to writing a book called The Color of Hope. And it's how Mary Kay changed my life. And interestingly for me, even though I don't know very much about the Mary Kay organization and maybe not really all that interested even in cosmetics, as you can see, it's not like I've, you know, figured out how to become a makeup artist. The reality is that this story is so much more. So much more. And this actual session makes me feel really bright. So I love this session, Finding Hope. I think it's really valuable for everyone. And it's gorgeous. Mayumi and her production team and everybody involved in putting together a Positive Prime session has done really nicely here. So on that page, you'll actually see that you can watch Kathy's session without using 120 credits to literally acquire it from the shop. And so if I was you, I would definitely go and watch her session. I even love the music. And let me just go here. What I do want to draw to your attention is that you're about to all receive an email because she's going to launch the book. There's really a game that's played these days on the first day a book is launched, particularly in Amazon. And if lots of people buy on that particular day, you have a better chance of being a legitimate bestseller. What it does require is that everybody pools their efforts and takes action at a particular time. And that time is actually Sunday, the 10th of January for Kathy. And so here is the click to go and purchase the book. I certainly will be purchasing the book on the 10th to support Kathy. And even if I didn't want to read the book, here's one thing that I know, I really know, is that the more generous you are, the more life is generous to you and the more other people show you generosity, right? So I look at this and I go, wow, that's $12 US. This is something kind and nice that I can do for Kathy. I probably will gift the book. The truth is actually I've already read it because she asked if I would read it and write something about it, and I did. So I'll buy the book anyway, and I'll make sure that I gift the book to somebody who would really be inspired by her story, somebody who actually knows what it's like to be abused and who wants to triumph. And it's a really incredible story. So I'm going to ask the entire Positive Prime community to actually buy her book on that day. And if they do, fantastic, and that's wonderful. Won't be the first or last time I ask the entire Positive Prime community to do something on a particular day to support one of our professional leaders. It's something that I love being able to do. Alrighty, so look out for that email. Take action if you can. I know that $12 is a lot of money for a lot of people. It's a lot more if you're Australian compared to the US dollar and the Aussie dollar. And it takes us a lot longer to receive things via Amazon, but it's worth it anyway. I really hope that this has been of value to you. We plan on doing this at least once a month. You know I'm approachable. You know that I'm available, and you know that I'm not alone. So Mayumi is here, Patty is here. If you've got a question or you'd like us to address something specifically, we're delighted. We'd be really happy to do it. Okay, so we're not like people who are hiding behind ego and hierarchy and pretending that we're famous and we have no time for you. That's not the truth. We might be famous, but we still have time, right? And I really do care. So anybody who is not getting the most out of Positive Prime, you're to absolutely ask for any help that you need, okay? I want you to get what you need. I want you to get what you hope.
Thank you so much. This was lovely. Thank you so much.
Love you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye for now. Happy New Year, everyone.